Hola, estudiantes. Welcome to your first take-home quiz. Please go ahead and grab a piece of paper for me. It doesn't have to be pretty paper, but it has to be something that you can turn into me. This take-home quiz is also fabulous because it's also notes. So if you wanted to write this at the top of your notes /quiz, that would be a good idea. This quiz is worth 22 points, okay? 3 points is going to be for notes. And if you might be able to guess about what those 3 notes are going to be that I'm going to ask you to take, wow, look at that. Okay. There are also going to be some practice questions that I'm going to ask you that you're going to have to take notes over. As you might be able to guess, there are going to be 19 of them, and that's what I'm going to be looking for on your 22-point quizzy. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. You guys know the preterite tense. This is our second past tense that we've been working with so far this year. We learned the imperfect with your aba endings or your ia endings, and that imperfect we used to give background information about a story. It was setting the scene. Okay. Now that the preterite is here, this is for our main events or for the plot of our story. Last year they said that this was your ed ending, whereas the imperfect was your ing ending. So maybe that helps you. If you wanted to write that down as extra notes, that might be helpful. And as always, if you need to hit pause so you can write these notes down or rewind because you didn't understand, that's a really good idea. I know that you already have these down, but just a reminder, these are your ER-IR endings. Don't forget about those accent marks on the yo and the L forms, or that'll be really bad. I'm never going to put vosotros on a test or quiz, so if you don't want to write that down, you don't have to. What we're going to worry about today specifically are our AR endings because we're working with AR verbs. We've been working with these for over a week now, so you should be fairly familiar with them. Now, here's the deal. There are going to be some verbs like the verb buscar, and there are many other verbs that end with car. And if you check Quizlet or if you check Classroom, there's a link that you can use to study your verbs that end with car, because on Friday you're going to have a vocab quizzy over those car verbs. So make sure you look them over so you know what they mean. Now, when you conjugate a verb that ends with car in the preterite, there's going to be something weird that's going to happen. Okay, so step 1, whenever you want to conjugate a verb, drop your ending. Okay. Then when you add your new yo form ending, it's going to look like this. This is pronounced busser. Well, that's a problem because the verb is buscar, so we don't want the yo form to be busser. That's totally different. In order to make that K sound, that C that we had with busser, that C is going to change to a Q. You can't have Q without a U. Do not forget the accent mark on the yo form. Something you need to be aware of, guys, this only happens in the yo form. This is an irregular yo change that happens. So let's look at some examples. This is your number 1. Okay, so yo buscar por el internet. If I wanted to conjugate buscar in the yo form, what's it look like? Busqué with an accent mark. Let's try another one. If I had ella chocar con la pared. Remember, that weird funky business is only yo form, so this one's normal. Chocó. That was number 2. Let's move on to number 3. Los dodos atacar. And try to conjugate that on your own, and hopefully with atacar. Now, I wish there were only car verbs that had weird things happen in the yo form, but that's the case. There are other ones too. It's not just going to be a C to QU that happens only in the yo form. There are going to be some other things that as well. There are going to be verbs that end in gar, like investigar. And if you check Quizlet or check Classroom, there's going to be a link there for you to study because you have your quizzy over car verbs and gar verbs, Spanish to English, on Friday. So be aware of that. Don't forget about it. So remember, when you're conjugating a verb, step 1, drop your ending. So we have investig. And since this is a weird yo form that happens, remember your yo form for AR endings, investige. Wow, investige. That's a problem. We don't want investige. We want investige because it's a gar verb. In order to make that happen, that G, we need to make it GU. We're going to add in a U. So let's look at some examples. So if we're talking about Sherlock E. John, and this is your number 4, when you conjugate investigar in the ellos form, nothing weird. It's going to be normal. Investigaron. Him playing football el año pasado, last year. What's going to happen? El jugó. Normal ending, nothing weird, nothing goofy, because it's not the yo form. Now when I hit the yo form in number 6, saying that I will avenge you, I avenge you. Remember that G is going to gain a U. And remember, this is only in the yo form that G is going to turn into GU. Now there's one more that we're going to worry about. We have our car verbs, we have our gar verbs, and now we're going to pretend that we're in Russia and we're going to talk about the czars. Here's the deal with czars. There is no pronunciation reason why this goofy thing is happening. In Spanish, there's this unwritten rule that you shouldn't have ZE or ZI written next to each other. It's bad luck for some reason. I don't know why. I just know that that's the way that it is. So they have to have a spelling change. And our Z for verbs are going to switch over to a C instead. So let's talk about the verb that you had on your vocab sheet this last time, abrazar, to hug. Well, if I want to say I hugged, well, step 1, drop your ending. So I have abraz. And then step 2, add my yo form. Uh-oh, problem. I have Z and E next to each other. I'm not supposed to be able to do that. So that Z has to turn into a C. In which form? Only yo form. All of these car, gar, zar endings are only for the yo form, right? Right. So let's do some more practice. Ellos almorzar en los nubes. So they ate lunch in the clouds. It's not yo form. Nothing weird happens. We're fine. Let's try another one. Miss Linen started the marathon. She ran the Chicago Marathon a year or 2 ago. I thought that was cool. And since I'm talking about Miss Linen, her, nothing weird is going to happen. Comenzó. No spelling change, nothing weird. Nosotros, cruzar. See if you can conjugate that one for me. Hopefully you caught it. None of those were yo forms. Nothing weird happens. Leave it alone. Change nothing. Only in the yo form is that weird switch going to happen. Let's see what... Alright, so let's take a look and see what you guys can do for me. So, starting, conjugating in the preterite. If you're losing track in your notes, this tocar right here, that's number 10. You're going to be going all the way down through number 19. And I know that I gave you the answer to number 19 there. Let me see if I can make that go away. Maybe not. Hit pause if you need to, write down your answers, and then come back to me and we'll check them. So when you take a look, see how you did, check your work. If you made a mistake, that's okay, just fix it. We're going to practice this more in class tomorrow. Bring these notes tomorrow, turn them in. You get 22 points for turning them in. Make sure you go into Quizlet instead of your car, gar, zar verbs, because you have a vocab quiz over them on Friday. Thank you, adios.